Let's learn how to make this chocolate cinnamon cake that is absolutely lovely and easy to do. Here are your ingredients, but don't worry, I'll include a link below that will give you full nutrition information and more details as usual. Begin by preheating your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees Celsius. You don't need a lot of equipment here. A bowl, a whisk, a spatula, and a sifter is really handy here, but it's not absolutely necessary. You're going to need a 9 by 5 loaf pan or a 23 by 13 centimeter, and a piece of parchment paper lined in the bottom really helps it release. If it's not nonstick, you want to spray the pan or grease and flour it, and you also need a cooling rack to cool the cake. Begin by putting 3 eggs or 150 grams worth into a bowl. You're going to put in your vanilla, which is 1 teaspoon or 5 milliliters. If you like vanilla, you can add in another teaspoon, put in 10 milliliters, and then you're going to add in 2/3 cups of oil, 160 milliliters. You can use any kind of oil you like here. I recommend something like a flavorless oil, or even olive oil actually gives it a nice pleasant undertone. Mix this up until it's nice and cohesive. It only takes a few seconds here. I'll show you. I'll keep it real time so you can see how quickly this is to really mix this up. That's it. The next thing you're going to do is add in your dry ingredients. And again, if you don't have a sifter, just put it all in a separate bowl together and then whisk it together with either your whisk or use a fork. You want to sift together 1 cup of flour, 150 grams, that's plain or all purpose or cake, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 40 grams, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, which is 6 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 gram, 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon, 6 grams. If you really like cinnamon, feel free to go up to a whole tablespoon. And then finally 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 150 grams. Now you could sift this into a separate bowl and then add it all to the wet ingredients, but I find this just as simple to just sift it in at this point. If you have any lumps and they won't push through, just discard those. It's not a big deal. Mix this together, and at one point you might need to switch over to a spatula because it's going to be hard to stir. This is going to be a very thick batter. This is a Madeira inspired cake that I use oil with. So then you're just going to pour this into your pan that is prepared. Again, I like to use parchment paper because it just releases easily and it ensures that that cake's going to come out. And see how thick this batter is? Push it into the sides until you get it relatively level, but don't worry, you're going to see cracks when this bakes. That is typical of this style. You want to bake it 35 to 45 minutes or until it just starts to separate from the pan, and it will bounce back if you touch the top. Let it cool 5 to 10 minutes before removing it, and then just lift it out if you're using that parchment paper. Remove the parchment paper and let it cool completely until it is ready to be iced. The icing is really easy. 1 cup of powdered sugar, 125 grams. To that I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 10 grams. Now if you have a sifter, again, it would be preferable to sift it together because cocoa powder can be lumpy. If not, just mix it well together. Then you're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk, which is 30 to 45 milliliters, and add it about a tablespoon at a time and stir really well, about 30 seconds or more, because this will absorb water really quickly and then turn into really thin icing if you put it all in at once. And you're looking for a thicker consistency, one that just starts to ribbon off your spatula when it's mixed well. You want it to ribbon off nicely like this. Once your cake is completely cool, it is ready to ice, and you're just going to spread it out on the top and then just kind of tease it onto the sides if you want it to drip off over the sides. It's however you want it to look. Now, I am using a cutting board underneath to catch the drips. You could just do whatever you want underneath and let it drip onto the counter and clean the counter off, or you could put some paper towels underneath there, or you could just be more careful than I am and not let it get all over your countertop. However you do it, it's no big deal. And look at the shine on that. It's absolutely beautiful. Let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to harden. But if you like, let's sprinkle on some cinnamon sugar, which is just equal parts of cinnamon and sugar, and then it just gives it a nice little look at the end. I'm going to cut into this and let you see what it looks like. It's a Madeira inspired cake, so it's a really nice closed crumb. This is wonderful to eat with coffee or tea and to just have an afternoon snack. Visit us at jacksonsjob.com for more recipes, and as always, happy baking.